Hey guys, it's Jon Blau at the Herald Times. I'm here with Jeremy Price after an 89-77 win for IU over number 21 Iowa. So as bad as we were feeling about things coming into this game with a 4-game slide, Devontae Green kind of just blew all that up and made everything sunshiny again with 27 points.
Yeah, it's I don't know exactly how to say. I mean, Devontae was certainly the star of the game in terms of what he did, and obviously it was when he came in and knocked down those, what was it, like 3 threes in a row, and then I think Jerome Hunter hit one, and then he hit a fourth.
Yeah.
That stretch was really what broke the game open for Indiana, but I thought the defining characteristic of this game was the way this team played tonight, which is what we haven't seen really since probably the second half against Maryland, which is they had some passion, some heart, if you will. There was just I think some of the discussion in postgame was a sense of urgency, and I think that's definitely what this team had tonight, was a sense of urgency that was missing, and that includes Devontae Green, no doubt about it.
I mean, how much do you think that has to do with Devontae Green, though? Because early in that game, I mean, they missed 4 out of their first 6 shots. The offense looked stagnant to me the first few minutes, and then Devontae starts popping off, and everything kind of just really quickly builds from there. I mean, how much is he just a difference maker that just changes the calculus?
I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, if you read the story I did this week on the IU basketball lineups and the analytics that involved in discussing those, it's pretty evident that some of Indiana's best stretches come with Devontae Green. Of course, some of Indiana's worst stretches come with Devontae Green. But there's no doubt that having him on the floor is necessary just simply to provide offensive firepower, to provide some punch for this team. And really that's what in a lot of ways, that's what it's about, is the lineups that fare the best for this team are the ones that provide some offensive options, and the starting lineup doesn't really do that. It's very limited what it brings you right now, especially with Joey Brunk's just kind of in a funk, for lack of a better word, right now. He's just not giving you a whole lot. And I wasn't really surprised by that tonight. I mean, I was starting basically a 4-guard lineup around Luka Garza. You know, you're putting Joey Brunk on Luka Garza, and then what? The matchups are not built for success in that format. Obviously, Indiana had its best success tonight with Trace Jackson Davis at the 5, a little bit of Deron Davis at the 5. Race Thompson played a lot of big minutes tonight at the 4, and just the fact that you had Race and some other guys giving you something significant tonight was huge.
Yeah, I feel like Race, I mean, if Devontae was the X factor, I don't know if you call it the Y factor, was Race Thompson. I mean, he just had a lot of just either really tough physical plays, heady plays, things that just aren't even really obvious in the stat sheet. I mean, he had 10 points, but it seemed like when he was on the floor, good things happened, and I think it's a common theme. I mean, when IU's played well, Devontae Green is going off, but also Race Thompson's done some things. Like Michigan State game, they don't win that game unless the way Race played at the very beginning of that game, and they had him again after he was out for a couple games during that 4-game losing streak.
Yeah, and we've seen this off and on throughout Race's career. Basically, when he's healthy and at full speed and kind of gets in the flow of things, he's a difference maker for this team. The problem has been keeping him healthy now for the last 2 years, and obviously that's not entirely his fault. The concussion clearly wasn't, and getting flattened against Michigan State with the back injury was obviously not his fault either. It's just one of those things that happens. But there's no doubt that this is a better team with a healthy Race Thompson.
Right. And the 2 things that I would say that they did well again, that they hadn't been doing well, they rebounded the ball. They won 39-28 on the glass. I mean, that's huge. And they got back to the free throw line. I know a lot of that was Iowa fouling, late a little bit, but what did it end up? 22 of 32. I mean, they were averaging 13 free throw attempts per game in the 4-game losing streak.
Right. And they won the rebounding battle. I think it was 39-28.
I said that.
Yeah.
Repeating
and that's significant because that's something that hasn't happened in quite some time. And
2 games in a row they are rebounding.
You can of course make the argument that Iowa is not traditionally the strongest defensive team or the strongest rebounding team as a corollary to that.
Right.
But this circles back to the effort part of things. It's not so much about what Iowa was good or bad about. It was about the effort that Indiana was putting forth. And, not only Race Thompson, but Trace Jackson Davis. I think the other thing that I take away from these last couple of games, and tonight in particular, is Trace Jackson-Davis is steadily emerging as a leader on this team. It seems strange for a freshman maybe, but this is a guy I see more and more interacting with his teammates and sort of directing traffic at times on the floor. He's more demanding the ball at times. And even in post-game press conferences, I just get the sense that he's even more assertive answering the media's questions. I mean, call me crazy, but he really is. He just seems like a guy that's not going to sit back and let everybody else talk anymore. He's going to be the guy that steps up and speaks for this team, and I think that's a very significant development.
Yeah, Archie Miller said that on his radio show, I think, recently, that at what point you're leading the team in points, rebounds, blocks, free throws, everything. Are you not just a freshman anymore?
Right.
You're a major piece of this team, and I think he understands that. Rob Finney had a pretty good game as well. 12 points. I remember one runner late in the fourth quarter that he kind of hit late in the shot clock. That was kind of big as things were kind of floating down to about a 10-point deficit, which it had been as many as 20 points. So he was pretty good today. I would say, ball handling at the beginning of the game was a pretty big deal. I mean, I think they had one turnover in the first 13 minutes. It obviously faded late. 11 turnovers in the second half. It ended up being 17, which isn't a great number, but I feel like the way they handled the ball early was a big part of them being able to get a lead.
Yeah, it definitely was. And, there was another incident that happened in the second half when Jerome Hunter picked up the technical foul. And while maybe not the best decision on his part to put himself in that situation to pick that technical up, I also thought that was significant in the sense that this was a guy that, again, a redshirt freshman sort of finding his way in the season, and he basically stood up for himself and didn't just back down or wait for somebody else, Al or Devontae or some upperclassman to come over and kind of run interference for him. He kind of went back and stood up for himself in that situation. Like I said, it maybe not the smartest play all the way around because Iowa was kind of baiting him into that. But at the same time, it was sort of a sign of where this team's at, that it wasn't going to be, a pushover, basically, that this team was going to exert itself and put forth the effort and the passion and the intensity necessary to win this game.
Yeah, we talked about it. I mean, Purdue seemed like a must-win game. They lost that one. This seemed like a must-win game.
Double must-win.
Double, triple, whatever. And they won it. So, I mean, how big is this? I guess it's evident for just going on the road now where IU has not been good at all. 4 out of their next 5 games. I mean, to get this win as opposed to if they had lost it, how big of a turning point could that be for them potentially, getting back on a good path?
It could be a huge turning point. I mean, it could be a one-game mirage. It just might be
we've had a lot of these.
A little oasis in the desert that is the Big Ten this year, and that's entirely possible as well. But it's still huge. Right now, it puts them back on the right side of the bubble. It gives you another quality win over a top 25 team that you're going to be able to claim on the resume. And now it's kind of up to you. What do you do with this?
Right.
You don't have to go win 3 of those 4 games on the road or anything. I mean, really, you just need to win like 1 of those 4 games on the road. And then if you can protect home court, and you're not going to see a better team than Iowa come in here the rest of the season. I mean, the remaining home games are all teams that are very beatable under any circumstances, and especially when Indiana's playing at home.
Right.
So now it's just a matter of taking it on the road, and for me, it's can they take this attitude on the road? You're not going to take the shooting on the road. I mean, nobody expects that you're going to hit 10 threes on the road, not this team. And nobody expects that Devontae Green's necessarily going to go score 27 points on the road, although he's perfectly capable on any given night. But the effort can be consistent on the road.
Yes, we're leaving now. Thanks, guys, for listening, and we'll see you later on the road.